Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fanfiction it inspires. Before we begin, just want to remind you to follow us wherever you listen so you don't miss any episodes or bonus content. If you love what we do and want an easy way to show your support, please consider leaving us a positive, all of the stars, rating on your favourite listening platform. It helps SBN and fanfic lovers find us and share in the fun. I'm Kasey.
I'm Sandra, and we're doing another Tags and Tropes episode. So this is episode 2. The age regression one seemed to go over really well. We got a lot of interesting thoughts and comments about the topic, how it was set up, and all those things. So we said, you know what? We're going to open it up. We went into our Discord. I asked a few questions about different things people might want to see us do. And we've got another one. We've got sex pollen / curse, fuck or die. And this is where we're going to break down some stats. We're going to share our thoughts. I think Kasey likes to say whether it's a gib or a hard pass for us. And we're going to discuss a couple of fics that we think are prime examples of the tag or trope in action. Kasey, any overall thoughts before I get into some of the other little things about the episode?
Yeah, no, it's not really. This is not to say that I don't read this kind of thing, but it's not something that I would particularly look or search for. I don't mind a bit of sex pollen. I don't mind a little bit of fuck or die, but it's not, it's not up there with what I would generally search for. But I know you particularly do like is it the sex pollen aspect or the fuck or die? Because
it's the sex pollen.
Because I want to say, actually, although they are very, very closely connected and very intertwined, I would say that the fics that we picked out this time are actually really great examples of both independent of the other.
Yes, they are. I think that's why I did that.
Did you? Look at you go. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Because
I was like, oh, this is a happy coincidence.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, let's do this thing. Well, I also wanted to say first that the topic was suggested by a couple of our listeners and Discord members. So Dreamer and MJ. They were like the two in terms of topics. Preface the discussion with, we try to follow your kink is not my kink, and that's okay motto. But we may interject our personal squicks about any given tag or trope, but it's no way meant to yuck anybody's yum overall. Again, it's just a discussion. We're learning more about certain things that maybe we haven't really read a lot of, or maybe it's stuff that we really do enjoy, and, we'll just kind of talk about it that way. But yeah, I was going to maybe read a little bit from the fan lore page, which we will link in the description. But
you say we like I have anything to do with it.
Well, okay. Yeah, no. Okay, I'm going to read it. So,
all right, cool.
Sex pollen is a common fanfic trope used to bring two characters together in a sexual encounter. It involves one or several characters becoming infected with a pollen or some alien or magical plant, or they might be influenced in some other way, magic, alien technology, mind control, etc., that causes them to develop a spontaneous and urgent need to have sex. It says the trope may have originated in Star Trek fandom with the 1967 episode This Side of Paradise, and it's believed the term sex pollen arose in DC Comics fandom. So a lot of science, fanfic, fantasy fandoms for decades, which I think lends itself really well just to supernatural in general. I mean, again, we've talked about how supernatural is this playground for all of these things that can happen, and it's just a really easy extension of that, especially with the magic side of it, which I think is what I usually tend to gravitate towards with stuff like this. So characteristics of sex pollen, commonly seen in conjunction with fuck or die, which we'll also talk about. There may be fatal consequences with the pollen or other influence causing death if their exposed character does not have sex in a certain time frame. So they lose inhibition. And this gets into, there's consent issues in this. I mean, we got to be honest. Like there's, if you're under the influence of anything, you're not able to give your consent. So there's usually
a whole fact versus fiction on this. Head on over fact versus fiction consent, where we discuss this in detail.
Yeah. So as a result, like many sex pollen works are tagged non-con or dubcon, depending on the scenario. It says some works also deal with the uncomfortable aftermath of exposure to sex pollen, including guilt, misunderstandings, physical injury. Some people use it kind of like that trope, like a get together, like, oh, this happened. And then the unresolved sexual tension is kind of like put out on the table, and then they kind of have to deal with it after that. Do we want to talk about fuck or die now, or do we want to wait? What do we want to do?
Well, we can talk about fuck or die now if you want.
Okay. All right. So fuck or die is a fan fiction trope in which the author puts two or more characters in a situation that forces sexual intimacy between them or risk death. I'm thinking of that alcohol and a can-do attitude one that you've recommended a couple times in terms of some other, I think, FEF situations. So it's often combined with sex pollen to create a physiological reason why someone will die without sex, though it can also be combined with tropes such as, and this is not in Supernatural, aliens made them do it, or virginity sacrifice to create external motivations for fucking. Again, they say often used to, but not what we're going to be talking about, often used to resolve sexual tension between two characters that have been pining after each other, forcing them to acknowledge their feelings for each other. It is very rare for fics with fuck or die scenarios to actually result with character death, with less than 1%. Did you know this was a thing? With less than 1% of fuck or die fics on AO3 also being tagged with major character death. I mean, I'm assuming if you don't read this or not, you wouldn't have known this. I did not know that. I would assume.
Like, I've read plenty. I just don't like. It's not something I would seek out myself. But like, I have friends that write it, or like I have authors that I follow that write it, or just like sometimes it comes up and it grabs you.
Yeah.
But no, I've never read one where anybody dies, because it's just a physical act.
Yeah.
Just close your eyes. Think of, I don't know, Brad Pitt or whatever.
Yeah. So to me, sex pollen / curse kind of has a lighter feel to it than, I mean, fuck or die is literally fuck or die. Like they're just like it's telling you like, you got to do this.
It's harsher
or this is gonna happen.
language as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sex pollen makes you think of plants and bees, and that's cute.
Yeah. We're going to talk about a couple. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about
Sandra disagrees.
AO3 stats and notes. So number of fics with sex pollen across all fandoms, so not just including Supernatural, at the time of this recording and research was 15,185. Fuck or die across all fandoms was 6,642. So that was a total of 21,827. In the Supernatural fandom, not quite a lot pulled from
that
this.
Statistic surprised me, actually.
Did it?
It's 815 in the Supernatural fandom, and that's 362 in Supernatural and 6 in Supernatural RPF under sex pollen, and 437 in Supernatural and 10 in Supernatural RPF for fuck or die. And I gotta say, all that makes me want to do is go hunt out those 6 and those 10 in RPF to find out what's happening. But then I forget that in my head, RPF means J2 because that's the only RPF I read. And there's probably a lot of like cockles and stuff out there, but I want to go and hunt that down.
Yeah, because I also think that, like, again, this trope to me doesn't really lend. So again, unless they're putting J2 in some sort of, like some sort of like magical AU, like, I mean, like this kind of stuff doesn't resonate, but the fuck or die could, that I think is more plausible maybe in that scenario. So very, very interesting, but I wanted to include that little handful because I was like, okay, but I think when I focused on breaking down the ratings and everything, it was, I didn't include RPF because it would have been too confusing. So just know there's 16 out there that are also RPF with this with these tropes. So when we go through the tags and tropes on AO3, we start with the ratings, and I'm going to be doing the sex pollen. We've got 279 that are explicit, 53 that are mature, 18 not rated, 12 teen and up audiences. Again, I don't know where they're going in the teen and up audiences, but sex pollen, I don't know what that's about. But Kasey, for the other side of the coin.
Yeah, we're not passing any judgment. We're just giving you the options, proceed at your risk, keep the tags. So for fuck or die, we've got 375 that are rated explicit, 51 that are rated mature, 5 that are not rated at all, 5 that are teen and up audiences. Again, but proceed with caution, heed the tags. And 1 that is tagged as general audiences. And again, that's such a low number. I want to go find it now. I want to be like, how do you fuck or die? But there's no porn. I have questions.
Yeah, most definitely. I think if you click the link up at the top, I think it might take you to the filters too, in case you ever want to go back and do that.
Yeah.
I think it might work. I think that's what I did.
No, friend.
So for sex and pollen warnings, 186, no archive warnings apply. 120, creator chose not to use archive warnings. 55 are rape, non-con, graphic depictions of violence, 13, underage, 10, major character death, 5.
That's interesting. I would have, I don't know, I feel like I would have expected more to be tagged rape/non-con. But then I suppose if a common part of the trope is getting together people who already have sexual feelings.
Yeah, and this is a thing too. Like, I think I would have to go back to like one of mine in particular and probably tag it differently that I've done. And because again, like using this thing within a relationship that was established, I think my mind didn't go there with this, even though it should have, and I didn't do that. But or it could there could be additional tags that have a lot of like dubcon and different things like that that could be in there. Yeah, so there could be that too. Yeah.
The archive warnings are very broad. So, you know, a lot of things don't fit in between them. That's why we always say, heed the tags.
Yeah.
So for Fuck and Die, we have 221 that have no archive warnings apply. 132 that have creator chose not to use archive warnings. 74 that are tagged rape/non-con. 32 graphic depictions of violence. 18 underage, and 3 major character death. So 7.
I thought there would have been more major character death.
Yeah, 7 total. 3 major character death. Yeah, the wiki did say, you know, it's only less than 1%. So
yeah, interesting. For sex and pollen categories, we've got male. This is the relationship, like the breakdown, whether or not there's anything going on between particular characters, which I would assume, considering it's sex, pollen, or curse. Male 284, female 70, multi 34, other 13, female 13, gen 3. You've really got to go through summary and if there's any notes and stuff like that, because the gen thing, I'm like, what does that mean?
Questions, y'all. Yeah. 100%. So for Fuck or Die, we've got 386 tagged male, 60 male-female, 34 multi, 9 other, 7 female, and again 3 gen. I'm gonna have to go and track these down. I have so many. How do you have Fuck or Die with no romantic relationships? I need to know.
Unless they're talking about like the fallout, maybe like after something. Like that's the only thing I could think of, like the aftermath of something occurring. Maybe that's what that is. So for sex, pollen, relationships.
Now, just before we get into these, I just want to say we have not ranked these. This is the way the archive ranks them in popularity. Okay, so nobody come at me like, oh my god, you put Wincest above Destiel. That's the way it's ranked on the archive. All right, we haven't done nothing because it's a screenshot.
It's going by most to least. So Dean Winchester / Sam Winchester for sex, pollen is 123. Castiel / Dean Winchester 110. Gabriel / Sam Winchester 18, Castiel / Sam Winchester 16, Dean Winchester / John Winchester 11, Dean Winchester U, yay, 10, Castiel / Dean Winchester / Sam Winchester 9, Sam Winchester / Reader, yay, 9, Dean Winchester / original female characters, yay, 7, and then Dean Winchester / John Winchester / Sam Winchester 6. So not very high, but if you are interested in some pet reader stuff, there are some. It's a pretty wide variety.
Yeah. You know, absolutely. Like I wouldn't have expected to see Sabriel so high up on any list, really. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So for Fuck or Die, we have Dean Winchester, Sam Winchester 198, Castiel, Dean Winchester 152, Gabriel, Sam Winchester 19. That's so interesting that they followed the same.
Yeah.
Castiel, Sam Winchester, so Sastiel 18.
And then they veer off. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we go rogue. And then we have Castiel, Dean Winchester, Sam Winchester, 17, Dean Winchester and Sam Winchester. We've talked about this before, but that is a distinction and denotes a platonic relationship, not a romantic or sexual relationship. So there are 13 Dean Winchester and Sam Winchesters, 10 Dean Winchester, John Winchester, 9 John Winchester, Sam Winchester. So apparently more people want to see John and Sam forced to fuck than they want to blow the magic powder and magically induce them to fuck. That's so interesting. Castiel and Dean Winchester, so again, platonic, not romantic or sexual, 8. And Dean Winchester, original female characters, 8. Poor reader / original female characters. They're not going to look in. But you've got to be nice with girls, though. That's my experience. If you're playing with a female character or a female reader insert, I always feel like I have to hold back. Like I can't be as aggressive.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Female character.
And then we've got the additional tags for Sex Pollen, and Sex Pollen is the first additional tag. It's 362. And then it's dubious consent at 86, anal sex at 81, fuck or die 65, first time 62, oral sex.
That's sad.
Oral sex 43. Plot what plot, porn without plot 39, angst 36, smut 35, anal fingering 32.
Again, what a weirdly eclectic mix.
It is very eclectic. There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot happening.
I don't know that I want my first time to be sex pollen though. That's sad.
What's interesting is that there's no plot. What plot? Plot without porn without plot in your list.
There isn't. If we're over on the fuck or die side, people have opinions on where people should be. So the additional tags for fuck or die are, of course, at the top, fuck or die. 437, and then we have dubious consent 117, which is what I like to see. Anal sex 109, it's fair enough. First time, again 95. I wouldn't want my first time to be fuck or die either. That's tragic. Yeah. And then we have bottom Dean Winchester 64, sex pollen 62. So I think there's more fuck or dies with sex pollen than there is sex pollens with your fuck or dies. That's confusing. After that, we've got angst, which is 55, curse is 52, anal fingering 45, and top Dean Winchester rounds us out with 40. So people got opinions on where Dean Winchester's lovely bum
is going.
Should be. That's what should be happening to it.
Yeah, that's a thing I think we talked about in one of a recent episode too, is that people really do have heated opinions about Dean Winchester and his situation.
Yeah. And honestly, like, again, when I hate to yuck anybody's yum, your kink is not my kink, and that's okay, right? But if you are one of those people that is like, Dean Winchester's ass should only be in one position, I would encourage you to just broaden your horizons a little bit. Just take a look, just like peek out the window, because there's a whole heap of fun to be had with Dean Winchester's bum if you just open your mind a little bit. I nearly held that together and everything.
Oh gosh, you just said open, and I was just like, oh man. All right,
go be with your process.
All righty. So we're going to do the nice one first, because I can only say this one's much nicer, in my opinion, than what's going on in the other one.
We have different feelings.
Okay. See. Okay. All right. I'm so interested. I'm so interested in hearing this. So the first one is actually something very different, and it was recommended to us by BJ. And I think BJ said in the Discord, this may not be what you're looking for, but it definitely wasn't. But I think it was interesting to get a chance to look at this.
Oh, I don't know. It was definitely kind of what I was looking for.
Oh, yeah. But I'm saying, like, I think our feelings, and I think it comes across pretty easily to anybody who's listening, that I have a certain go-to and you have a certain go-to. And I don't think this would necessarily be any of our go-tos. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. So this one is called Don't Touch Anything in the Library. How do you say the author's name? Nilazit? Nilazit, I would say. Nilazot.
Yeah.
And it is Claire Novak with Sam Winchester. So it's interesting. Instead of sex pollen, it's really more sex magic, which kind of, again, sex pollen, curse, those things kind of go together. But the additional tags are fuck or die, loss of virginity, kink meme, humor, memories of Stanford, Claire POV, first time, and Kasey inserts, aw. So this is part of the Supernatural Kink Meme collection. It was written back in 2015. So the summary is Claire is hit by a virgin targeting magic spell and picks Sam to bail her out. What were your thoughts when you first read it?
I thought it was excellent.
Mm-hmm. What did you like about it?
Fucking all right, English teacher. I thought it was excellent because it was very, I think if a person had to be in this situation, and basically what happens is Claire touches a book and gets literally physically restrained by the book, and the next person that she touches, she has to have sex with, or something bad will happen. Does that fuck or die in it?
I think
it does.
Die.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I think she'll die.
Mm-hmm.
So she touches the book, and like it kind of goes. You know that scene from like early on in the Matrix when Neo touches the mirror, and it goes whom, and then like kind of just like starts going. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like her hand gets sucked in, and then she's caught at the wrist. So she goes, guys. And then everybody kind of just like stands around but doesn't touch her. And they're all having a conversation about what they should do. And should they go find a boy that she likes? And it's from Claire's POV. So you're in her head as she's going, are they for fucking real?
It's so good. The Claire POV is so very on point for her. I think that it's very, the generational thing, like the way the cast, like, Cass in this is so very like Cass with Claire.
So Cass.
And
so
it's so
early seasons Cass.
And even Dean, like she's so done with Dean and like, his shenanigans and stuff like that. And but yeah, I think Sam thing is it's cute. It's sweet that he gets picked. I think it's a very easy, you definitely understand.
It's an easy choice to make. Yeah. So she basically, these are the three people that are there. And they're like, no, we'll go find something. And it's a lust spell. So she's like, no. Fuck something now. Jesus Christ. So she's like, it's like older Sam, younger Claire, like the age difference is the same. So she's kind of like weirded out by like how Sam suddenly looks hot and even Dean looks hot, but Cass still doesn't. Like even the spell can't break through that ew dad barrier that is Jimmy Novak's vessel. But I think most people in that situation as a scared, I think she's 17. So a scared girl under the influence of a spell like that. I feel like Sam is the least threatening choice out of all of them. And it's just really sweet. And I think a thing that stood out to me is she says she picks Sam and they're still arguing. Like Cass is like, the fuck you are, and Dean's like, just fucking calm down. Whereas Cass goes like full dad, like no. And Claire basically just kind of gives up and just holds out a hand. And I think it says something to the author and the character that even though her consent has been taken from her, she does not forcibly inflict that on anybody else. She just holds out a hand and is like, look, touch me or don't. It's your choice. I'm stuck, but you don't. And yeah, Castiel's the fuck you are is as a parent of a preteen, I vibe with that 100%. Even on pain of death, I'd be like, no, you're not. Not even a little bit. No. And then from that, it's very, I don't want to say realistic. It's kind of like Hollywood realistic in that nobody has ever lost their virginity in this way, but it's very like, it's not romanticized or anything like that. It's not like, oh my God, and the earth moved and it was just a fucking tit. It's very much like they're both like, I really don't want to be here doing this. Don't look at me,
It's awkward, but then it gets Sam. I think it's just because it is so intimate. They really don't have a choice, but I think to get kind of
that's the thing.
Feelings, about it.
It is intimate, and you wouldn't think it would be. You really could go into this and be like, just close your eyes, think of Brad Pitt or whatever.
Yeah.
and just, but he doesn't, like, he takes the time to, you know, try and get her to relax. And there's a very, very kind of like, Claire is obviously not only a virgin, I think quite sexually inexperienced as well. Like, she hasn't done a great deal of anything with anybody. So, you know, there's a few moments where she thinks, oh my God, is he gonna touch me, or is he gonna do this, or, you know, is he gonna go down on me and stuff like that. And then Sam just doesn't. He literally does the absolute bare minimum of touching her that is required.
Yeah.
So she isn't injured. And then, you know, that's it. And I think it's been about a week since I read this, so I've read some other stuff in between. I think he actually puts her on top as well, doesn't he? And gives her the control.
I think so, but I don't remember, to be honest, in terms of
bear with us.
Yeah.
Bear with us 1 second while we go.
I mean, I know he actually, like, you know, wants her to try to see if she can get herself off, feel like, through the process, and then if that kind of, like, you know, alleviates it before, you know, maybe they have to go to Pound Town and stuff like that. And it doesn't. I know it doesn't work that way. But I think she's like, I think he's like behind her for a moment, and then they flip around and she faces him. So I don't know. Is she on top? I can't remember.
So I'm just looking at it now. He's kind of like, sort of like starts touching her a little bit, and then she's like, he sort of like pulls a jeans and then she freaks out. So he's like, okay, you do it, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, he's like sat behind her at that point. And then so then he like sort of, you know, fingers her, preps her to, you know, that real life penis. It's Sam Winchester. It's not, you know, it's not on the underside of average.
That kind of should have been a, like, I don't know. I'd be like, okay, which one?
No, I'd definitely be choosing that. By which one could I look in the eye in the morning? But yeah, no, she turns around.
It looks like he just grasped her hip to pull the top, like, over his. So I don't know if she's on top.
No, she starts off like straddling his lap because they're kissing.
Yeah.
And then she's is that normal size?
I think they're on their side. Yeah.
Oh, I think he kind of like spoons. I think that's how it ends up. But at the start, he puts her in front of him so she doesn't have to look at him. And then he lets her take the initiative to kind of like climb into his lap. And then, it is, again, sort of facing away, spoon position. So, you know, it's really respectful from Sam's perspective of, you know, he's not like, I don't think Sam would ever be like the lecherous old man anyway. He's a delight. He's the baby. He's never done anything wrong in Vader's life. But he is, like, you can see the care that he's taking. And, you know, we talked about this in other episodes. Sam Winchester fucks, y'all. Yeah. Sam Winchester fucks. So this but not different. Here he doesn't. Yeah. This not here he doesn't. He's very, very respectful with her. And once it's all over, let's say, then they kind of have to, they're kind of just like waiting to see if the spell has worn off. You know, and it's awkward and everyone's naked and you've just had sex with someone that you didn't really want to have sex with. And you're pretty sure they didn't really want to have sex with you, and it's weird. So she kind of, at first, she's like, before they get started, she's like, have you taken anybody's virginity? And he's like, you know, no. No, I have not. Yeah. So, and when it's all over, she's like, well, tell me what it was like for you. And, you know, whether it's true or not, he tells her quite a sweet story about Stanford. And he gives it kind of a, oh no, it was awkward, and, you know, it wasn't quite as interesting as this one. It was like a pity parade. It was a bit of a pity fuck, and I was like this 18-year-old kid, and, you know, it was awkward and blah 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 blah. And then apparently poor Sam's first time was with some hippie tantric sex chick who was all into let's make out and nobody gets to come for hours and hours and hours, which to me sounds awful. No, that is not what we are doing here. It's a really sweet story that Sam tells her, you know, and I mean, we're not given any reason to think that it's untrue, right. But it's what she needs to hear in that moment, I think. And he's really It's
yeah, I think the one thing
just
he says, it's like,
nice.
it was not so earth shattering as it seems beforehand. So I think it
Yeah.
almost gives her this look. This might have been your first time technically, but this isn't necessarily going to be the first time that truly matters. Like you're still going to have that. Like in my mind, it was like you're still going to have that first time, with somebody that you really care about. Like this was just let's save your life situation. Like, let's get this stuff out of the way. And then, hopefully you get to experience whatever your first time is with whoever it really means something to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got out of his, his story, like making it really wasn't as like, it was a thing I just had to do, like kind of like to get through it, like that kind of a thing. That's kind of what I got out of his story, which I thought was very, very sweet. And like you said, it's not just romantic, filtery, like all the kind of thing. I mean, there's definitely the heat and the lust there because of the spell. And, Sam's got to get to a point too, where he can actually do the deed with her. So, there's some, physical response to what's going on that, allows him to assist her, in this process. So, I think doing it that way. Did you see me? I know you can imagine I was doing like the air quotes when I said that word for you there, Kasey. Process. So I think that it was so sweet. And I don't know if I've read one that was quite this sweet before. So it was definitely a nice change and very different from, I think, the ones I've read. Not that they were, again, we'll get into it with some recommendations that I'll have, I think, for this one in particular. But yeah, I really like this one. I like this one. It was very character on point with the characters. Even Cass and Dean, like at the end, like, they're so like done with each other, and like Cass gets the way he talks and stuff, it doesn't get something right. And I think you get that anyway on the show with Claire and Sam. There are some moments where I think Sam has to meet her on her level in a way that I think Dean doesn't. Dean's usually the one that's better with kids. And I don't think that's the case with Claire. I think Sam, out of all of them on the show,
I think
moments.
Sam relates to her in that whole kind of losing things and being forced into a life that you would never have chosen, and trying to whereas people are trying to get Claire to step back and, you can go to school and you can have a normal job. It's a little bit the reverse of Sam, but he still understands that she's been put in a place she would never have chosen to be in. And now she's just trying to make the best of it. And that's, and I would never say that I ship Sam and Claire, because the age difference is far too much and there's too much of a power dynamic. But if they were the same age, I would ship them.
Well, because, like you said, they have that in common. And I think that's very clear, I think, on the show. So I like that the author took that, and was able to have that make perfect sense in terms of not just if you had to choose out of the three, because I'm telling you, if I had to choose my first time, which one I would choose. It wouldn't have been Sam. It would have been Dean.
That's fine.
But, but I think having it reflect the relationship on the show into this extension made a lot of sense for this. So I was pleasantly surprised with this one.
It does kind of give you a vibe that it could have happened off camera. I don't think Claire ever went to the bunker, but that's besides the point. Like it could have just happened. And I mean, aside from all the, sweetness and really like almost uncomfortable intimacy for the situation that they are in, Dean and Cass are hilarious. They are, like, the start of it when they all realize what she's done is funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. And, just the fuck you are. And then they're like, oh, do you need birth control? Do you need condoms? Sam, you need to use lubrication. And Sam's like, it's not my first time. Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Okay, so I don't know if we want to do I guess we're going to do okay. I am really curious about this one, because when I read this one, I think I said to you, this was really hard for me to get through.
You did say that.
And I think so this is not a completed fic, and this was recommended by Purple Edge. I'm going to read from what they wrote. Another one. So this is by Reaper Town USA, and it's called Going Through the Motions. And Purple Edge had already like recommended a few others by Reaper Town, USA. I wasn't sure about recommending it. First of all, because it's unfinished. Second, because it's 10,000 some words. And third, because there's other torture involved aside from the fuck or die. But I do want to mention it because it has a very interesting aspect. Usually when you have a hetero couple in a dub, non-con, or a fuck or die situation, you assume the one suffering the most is the woman. But here, it's the man. So,
yeah.
In short, this is Purple Edge's summary, which is pretty spot on. Sam, Dean, Cass, and Joe are captured by a group of demons who torture them, but mostly their nemesis, Dean, while live streaming the whole thing and taking requests from the audience. As part of it, they make Cass fuck Dean, with Dean having to walk him through it. Near the end of the last chapter, they have Dean bound, equipped with a cock ring to keep him hard and an anal plug, and order Joe to ride him. She realizes that however she tries to move, he's going to be in pain because of the bounds, his injuries from the torture, and the plug. I thought it was a pretty original fuck or die scene. What did you think of this one?
Oh, I really liked it.
Okay, and I kind of thought you would. And again, like it's no.
And I totally got why you didn't like it at all.
Yeah,
I really did. Like,
there's so much going on with Dean that I had such a hard time with that. And I think
no, it's not even. Oh man, it wasn't even. Like when I say I really liked it, like I don't mean that I thought it was hot or anything like that, because it truly is torture porn. And that's how Sandra described it to me. Yeah. She was like, it's torture porn. I'm glad it ended where it did. I didn't want to read what else was going to happen.
But it was written really well. That's the thing.
Good.
And so again, the characters, and I like the way it's broken up, like the 3 chapters. I'm pretty sure the first chapter is like Sam's POV, like when they're originally getting captured and stuff like that. Then the second one is Dean's POV. And the third one is Joe's POV. And I thought the author took a really methodical, thoughtful approach to whose POV would be for each scene. I'm curious, but again, not kind of glad that we don't find out who the chapter 4 POV is, because I don't know if it would be Sam or Cass in that situation because of what was happening, or if it would go back to Dean. I don't know if I'd want to be, I just don't know. Like, I don't know what would hurt me more is seeing what was happening from Dean's POV or from either of the other ones in that situation because of what they had to do. But yes, it was very, very torture porn. But yeah, the way it was written had me so invested in everybody going through it that it was like, but then I was like, oh, Dean. So like,
did you not want to see how they got out of it though? That's the big thing. I want to say here, this fic was written in 2010. We ain't getting an update. It's like 14 years old.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. We are not getting an update. Let me just check on the last time. I'm not above reaching out to Reaper Town and being like,
and asking like maybe what they had in mind with it.
Oh, see, their last upload was in 2014. So that was like 10 years ago.
Okay.
So they're probably not around anymore. But no, I was like, there were a few points, like as we said, this is a demon that Dean knows. So we're post hell for Dean. So this demon is, very much taunting Dean with all the things that they used to do to him before he got off the rack, which are fucking inventive, by the way. And so we're kind of like we're with Dean in the second chapter in this kind of PTSD hell of, oh my god, it's them again. And like Cass is trying to reassure him that it's not physically possible to have the things done to him on Earth that were done to him in hell. But Dean's in this really, this awful headspace, and it's so hard. But then just like right at the end in the third chapter, there's this little, you just get this little moment with Joe where he's still in there. He's still fighting, it's, I'm sure some of it is a legitimate PTSD disassociation response, but there's still, he's not completely broken down. Right. He's still in there fighting. Some of it is a facade. And I want to know how to get out. I want to know what happens. I want to know how to get out.
Well, because
also
is the goal that, because again, like I read this, but like I don't remember the very beginning. Are they saying that they will get out if they do these things, or is it just that they're going to die? Is that how it's supposed to happen?
No, I think they're gonna. I don't think there's ever. I think they're gonna just keep them there. and just
Yeah.
live stream them for an indefinite period of time. I imagine
Until they like just die.
Yeah, I
probably
imagine
from
they
it, yeah.
just die of their injuries or whatever. Yeah, no, there's never a kind of like, oh, if you perform, then we'll let you go. It's we're gonna keep you here forever. But like, I want to know if they get out. I want to know how they get out. And also, the demon keeps calling Dean martyr. I want to know about that. I want to know what that means. So this is it's set in season 4 because Dean is post hell, but they are talking about corrupting Michael's vessel and Sam being Lucifer's vessel. You know, so I'm like, did I miss something in the story that explains this martyr thing, or is it like is it just a reflection of Dean's personality because he is a martyr for a lot of things? But I was like, oh, I have questions.
Well, how do you think
how
it
to
might
get out?
How do you think they might? I mean, did you have an idea of like how they might get out?
I
from this?
see. I assumed it would be. I think it will be Joe that manages to escape, and she will go bring whoever back. That was how I thought that they would probably get out. But like, don't hate me for this.
I'm not gonna hate you for it. I just know we have different things that, you know, but again, like, I'm not faulting the writing at all. I think the way it's written, again, like, I think if it had been pure torture porn, I would have been out, seriously, by like the first few not even I wouldn't even gotten through the first chapter, I don't think, knowing what was to come. But the writing kept me reading as much as I was like, oh.
I think it's because the shifting POV you're kind of getting. So like we're with Dean in the first chapter, but then we're with Joe in the second chapter, and you can feel all of the emotions, and she's like kind of off to one side with Sam, so she's, you know, like seeing what's going over his face. And it's not just, oh, how sick can we be? How, you know, how depraved can we make it? You're really going through the emotions of people who love these characters, going, fucking hell, no! But also, I really wanted to see what else the author was going to do. Like, don't hate me, but I really do like reading stuff like that. That's like, I'm always curious as to how far authors can go. How far can you take me before I'm too sickened to carry on, you know? And like, my threshold for that shit is really fucking high. I read a lot of fucked up shit.
I think for me too, like, because what Purple Edge was getting at, I think, with the Joe and Dean situation, like, there's already that, like, if you take it from the show, right? Like, there's already that kind of will they, won't they? How do they really feel about each other? That unknown situation, and then to get put into this like this, just, you know, it breaks down any veneer Dean has left, you know. I think for Joe, and even Joe's, like, you know, she's so, like, I think invested in she's going to get out, they're going to get out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's that hope she's still clinging to, and when she's going through this stuff for him, but she's still trying to take care of him, and what she's being forced to do. And I'm just like, oh my God. And even like the Cass and Dean part of it, like, you know.
That was genuinely hard to read, because you've got to bear in mind, we're talking season 4 doesn't know anything about humanity. Cass. So these demons are like, oh, you gotta like fuck him with no lube and clean him up with your mouth. And Cass is like, I don't understand. Like he legitimately does not understand what is being asked of him. So then Dean has to explain it, and it's so difficult to read.
Yeah, it really is
so difficult. And also, I was talking to a friend of mine about this morning, and I didn't send them this fic because they don't read whips, and they would have walked away from this really frustrated. But I was like, there's no like little blue pill, there's no angel mojo or demon mojo. Everything that's happening is biological. So we've got Dean having to masturbate Cass to get him hard to fuck him. You know, they put a cock ring on Dean so he stays hard. It's all biological. It's all authentic. And the consent issues around that make my filthy depraved heart fucking sing. I'm like, oh my God, it's so fucked. Oh my God, it's so fucked. I shouldn't sound so happy about that. But I was really excited about it. I was like, oh my God, that's so fucked. That's such a great spin on them. Like, oh, is it rape? Is it? Yes, it's categorically rape, but also the bodies are engaged, and it's just, oh, what a mind fuck. What a mind fuck. And I mean, I don't want to, like, if we all just kind of side-eye junkies a little bit, I'm interested in that as a concept to explore. And I think that's probably why I wanted to read more, because it's excellently written.
Yeah.
But I do, like, you know, that's such a mind fuck that they've just basically, you know, got them in this warded cell and they're going, oh fuck, I will kill you.
Yeah.
And also that in the kind of in the second chapter, and actually in the end of the first chapter, you kind of get this feeling of desperation from the demon. So it's one demon and like a gang of, I assume, demon guards or maybe human guards, whatever. But it's one demon who's leading the show, and then like some guards. And it's very, you can kind of almost feel this demon kind of scrambling for the power, and it's do this or we'll kill you, do this or we'll shoot her, do this, blah, 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 blah. And it's really like, it's everything's at 10, and you can tell that this demon doesn't have anywhere to go, because if they all stand there and let themselves get shot, well, then what? You know? So he is kind of like playing them off, going, oh, if you don't do this, I'm going to shoot Joe. And, you know, everything you refuse to do, Dean, I'm going to, like, it's going to be done to her.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you refuse 3 times, I'm just going to fucking shoot her, and then I'm going to move on to your brother.
Isn't that the martyr then? I mean, that just to me makes the martyr,
yeah, maybe.
The martyr,
maybe,
like, again, like maybe what was going on, you know, until he got off the rack situation.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking maybe it was that from hell, that they kept offering him to get off the rack and he refused, and it was like
martyr,
suffering for other people, you know? Yeah, it's not something that gets thrown about in canon that often, and I do think it's really interesting. But it was like that kind of like this demon who's all the way at 9 right from the off and has nowhere to go. So they're able to kind of, Joe is able to kind of like, you know, kind of talk him down a little bit. And I think that would have been a really interesting dynamic to see, because he's very much like the kid who's robbing a convenience store, who's never robbed anybody or anything a day in his life, and he's shaking and his voice is breaking, and you can tell that he's afraid. And it could go one way and he could just run, or it could go the other way and he could shoot everybody out of fear. That was kind of the vibe I got, you know?
I'm thinking more about like the placement of it I'm wondering if it could be closer to season 5, because then I'm trying to, because now you have me thinking, how's it going to end? And I wonder if it becomes a Crowley.
It could be season 5, yeah.
I wonder if it could be a Crowley.
No, it can't be, because Ellen is still alive. Joe is, that's season 4?
They're still alive in part of season 5. It's right around the time when
maybe
they meet Crowley. So I'm wondering too if like there's a, you know, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about how does it end? I would just like the Cliff Notes, please, if anybody knows what the idea was as to how it was supposed to end. Because I just think it gets down to, like you said, when you talk about the martyr and the sacrificing and what he's doing and where his headspace is and all of those things. It's just like, oh, I mean, all of them, but you know me, like my heart's like, oh my God. So, all the stuff that they're having to do to Dean for, you know, whatever, someone else's pleasure, enjoyment, seeing them in that situation is just very, very torture porn. Did that sort of, is that, because that kind of had a heyday, right? Like I'm just thinking too in sort of like movies realms. Like I think a lot
Hostel
of like
and stuff like that
and stuff like that, and that kind of thing. So I feel like this kind of was around that time frame as well. So I think that's, you know, I've never really wanted to watch those movies. I think
I have watched
but see again, and that's just, you know, differences of what I think for me, sometimes I just have a blockage as to, I don't want to explore these things a lot of times. So like with this one, I was kind of like, when Edge had like given I was like, okay, let me read it, because I did want to see what they were talking about in terms of the Joe and Dean thing. And it was a lot. So if you are like me, you may not want to delve into this maybe side of it. And I'm just curious, because we talked about a couple other things, and we'll go through some, like I think Rex and stuff other people gave us, but this is so very different from the one we keep talking about, the alcohol and a can-do attitude that you've recommended for other things before, Kasey, where that's very, it takes that scenario of they've got to do the thing for the reasons that they don't want to do it at all. Like there's nothing, and it's
very
platonic,
much,
and it's very humorous, and it takes it in a very different tone that this is not. Like this is the alcohol and a can-do attitude is over here. Going through the motions is like all the way on the other side. So it's like there's a lot of stuff you can probably find in between, depending on where you are and what you want, that you could probably find something that would fit the bill. But I do like that Reaper Town is the notes are pretty good, I think, in terms of, what you're going to get. Like the tags are very light, but the notes, kind of like there's a warning, you're getting a lot of like the background and then what's going on and all this kind of stuff. So, and what they wouldn't include in there, I guess, was good too. So if you're worried about certain things not being included or being included, they let you know as well in the notes. But yeah. So two very different like ends of the spectrum where these two can kind of be considered, I don't know, cousins, maybe.
Yeah.
But they can kind of go together and then veer very, very differently and go, I think, off the collective, off their other rail, like, just split. And then this is what happens. This is definitely dark. Like if you're not into dark stuff, then this might not be, this is not for you.
Yeah. This is not something you're going to enjoy 1,000%. Yeah.
And I guess the other thing was I wanted to go through some recs that we got for either Fuck or Die or Sex Pollen. And again, Purple Edge recommended another two from Reaper Town. They're Wincest, Lesser Evil, and Damned If You Do.
So I haven't read either of these, but I just looked at them now. So Lesser Evil is kind of like gangbang kind of thing, but also still Wincest. So they cross a motorcycle gang and end up as the night's entertainment, and that's kind of all it said. And then Damned If You Do looks like it's just straight up Wincest. They get on the wrong side of a pagan fertility god, and it's fuck or die. But that one's set just before Dean's Demon Deal comes due, so it's interesting. We'll have to be going and investigating that one.
And I will say the whole thing that kind of got me into Sex Pollen, it's all MJ. She's somebody that I read a lot of when I first started. So there are two by her that are Sex Pollen, Curse. Well, actually three, but the two that I like absolutely love. A Fight for Love and Glory is Dean and Sam with Reader. And again, Reader's been cursed and they have to help her get rid of the curse. So there's a lot of
we love a Winchester sandwich.
Yes.
A Winchester sandwich.
It's literally a Winchester sandwich. There's, and I think everything we kind of talk about with the boys, even like a situation like this that is non-consensual, they are still trying to pull as much fucking consent out of the situation, I think, as they can in that particular story. The other one by her that I love is Bad Girls. I think it's Bad Girls Underneath. And it's Joe and Ruby and Dean. So Joe and Ruby, I think they're already established relationship wise and have had something like this happen before. So there's another just
Sex,
Joe
Magic
and Ruby.
And French Fries.
Yeah,
Sex, Magic and French Fries.
That's just Joe and Ruby. And then this is the one where they've had to pull in a dick, and
they refused to call in Sam because it's after Sam got possessed by Meg.
Okay.
So Joe is terrified of him.
Gotcha.
So they refuse to call in Sam.
So Dean's the other option on this one, and this one's just so good. I think because you see a difference between Joe and Dean, and then Joe and Ruby, and I just really liked that. I liked the distinction of how he approached both. And I think you get all of the emotion and stuff in that too. And I think, he's in part of it. He's even like, what's, he thinks he's, which again, I don't know certain Sex Pollens. Like, it's almost like you're catching it, or it's contagious, or different things like that. So in the moment, he's still trying to keep a level head about what he has to do, what he doesn't have to do. And he's still trying to get consent for Joe in some situation, but
Mhm.
he's really just kind of like, you're next to Ruby. And it's just like, like there's a total shift in how those two things are approached. And it's really good. It's really good.
He's
It's
really
really good.
sweet with Joe,
Yeah.
which I do really like.
Mm-hmm. And it's totally not the same thing with with Ruby. The other one that MJ recommended is Heard, Seen, Believed, and it's a mini series. It's Dean Winchester and female reader, and it's after a messy witch hunt. You call your roommate desperate for some help with the aftermath. Everything changes between you. So this, again, warning: sex curse, sexual medical aids, insecure reader, all the tension, unreliable narrator, multiple forms of sex with Dean Winchester, including but not limited to conolingus, analingus, and doggy style. So that's a little mini series there if you are interested in that one. And what else do we got on the list? Kasey, I'm going through. Is there anyone else? Oh, Fictional Lemons had a couple.
Yep. They've got Bad Blood by Astolat, and Two Pieces of the Gallows by Nigel TDE. I haven't read either of those, but they are fuck or die classics, apparently.
Mm-hmm. And they're both short.
And they're both short, if that's a thing. We've got The Look and Booth Brooch by Hello Starling Fix, who is also in our Discard.
Yeah.
Hi, Starling. And Nothing Between by Whoops Okay. They're both from Dreamer. What else have we got? The Constant Vow by Deadly Bride, also by Dreamer, but that is like 120k long. So, be prepared. And then there's another Wincest For You, To Me Are the Only One by Flower of Nettles. Sorry, that really threw me because some of it was capitalized and some of it wasn't, and I was really confused.
And that's a long one too. That one's 50k.
That's 50k, yeah.
By Dreamer. Yeah. So there's definitely, I think I go through, and I wrote something like Sex Cursey in my Some Sunny Day series. What the heck did I call it? Every little thing she does is magic.
With the spanking.
Yeah. Yeah. But the spanking is like the part after that. But yeah, there's like a Dean's under a curse, and original female character has to work him through that situation. So I think mine. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, do you feel like you would go back and tag that as TP's consent now?
I feel like I need to. Yeah, I think I'm going to go back and do that. Because again, my headspace was, at this point, they're married. So there's like a fictional, like the established relationship of, it's kind of like till death do you part situation. So it's like, well, we got to either figure this out or you're dying kind of a situation. So I kind of think I didn't come at it from, they haven't already consented, to be together situation. So there's that.
What's interesting as well though? Well, I wouldn't call it fuck or die. I probably should have tagged it fuck or die. My not for sale, Soldier Boy and Dean. If Soldier Boy refuses to let Dean fuck him, the sort of the general vibe of that fic is that he will get sick and he will die. But I guess I didn't tag it for that because it never gets that way, because Soldier Boy puts up a token fight but does consent in the end. But I tagged it Dubcon because it's ABO and that's just purely the nature of ABO. But maybe.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting too to go back and get some enlightenment on, as an author, going back and looking at your stuff and saying, okay, I'm going to go back and tag this a thing because it probably should have gotten it before and didn't for whatever was in my brain. But now learning more about this situation. Yeah, let's do the thing. So,
so this is like Sex Pollen is Sandra's kind of jam, as we've established. I'm just kind of curious, like, do you know what it is that draws you into it, or is it just like one of those things you're like, I don't know, I just like it? And if it's option 2, that's totally fine.
I think it's just because there's the inhibitions are dropped because the person doesn't have a choice in the matter. I think I do get the unresolved sexual tension part of it, and I think that kind of interests me in a lot of the ones I've read, where there's something going on, but then the barriers are dropped again. But the stuff that I've read too, I feel like inherently there's the boys are trying to get that consent. Like that's the thing I keep going back to. Like from what I've read, like they know it's really hard to get it, but it's like they want to try to find that. And I think it's the search to try to get to that, but not quite. You never really have it. But yeah, I think it's just the barriers are just down for that part of it. Yeah. And it doesn't really get you, right? Like it's not really a thing.
It's like, yeah, no, I don't have anything against it.
But
it's not like oh no, I would never read this. But
you don't search it out. It's not like one of those things if you see it, you're like, ooh, put that in the mark for later, please. Yeah. And that's kind of like when I see it.
It's not a trope that grabs me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's interesting. But yeah, I think so for me, I think definitely like I'm going to be more mindful now though when I see sex, pollen, curse and see if there's also fuck or die in it, because I think you can have both. Like you can have a sex, pollen, curse that just really like it's bad for a while, but it's going to eventually like you could ride it out.
You
if
can
you
weigh
really
it out.
Like,
yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of Jinkies Heat, I think it was called. Like it was kind of like that thing where that was definitely like a sex, pollen, curse thing that they had going on there, which I really did enjoy that. So again, I think it's the barriers just kind of coming down, part of it that I like.
Yeah, no, I think that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's cool.
Fuck or Die would really have to pay attention to notes, summary, tags, all those things for me.
Eat the tags, y'all.
What about you? Are you more like fuck or die? I'll take my chances with it if I read if it comes across.
I think I prefer sex, pollen, because I do kind of I like the way that authors can mess around with that and different like, oh, is it magic, is it a spell, is it literally like I've definitely read a fic where it was like literal fucking magic flowers, it was literal sex, pollen. I do like those fuck or dies. This definitely says something about me. I do like those fuck or dies where they would not normally have anything to do with each other. And it like alcohol and a can-do attitude. Where they're just like, I've read some of them. And like I can't remember what it is now. I'd have to try and find it. But it was in the back of the Impala. I think Sam had been hit with a curse or something, and it was fuck or die. And Dean was trying to help him and literally had to stop to throw up because he was so disgusted by what he was doing. And I'm sure that says things about me, and I don't have psychiatrist money to get into that. But there's so much interest to me in what if it just bends a little? What if you take this and what if you just twist it a little? How far can you twist it before it is unrecognizable as what it was? And that really speaks to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I don't. I think overall I probably prefer sex, pollen, because I don't know. I think pollen and I think flowers and bees. And that's cute.
And I think I've realized too how much I like the magic aspect of supernatural universe as a whole too. I think I lean into that more. And I like seeing how that can mess up a situation,
you're doing something like that in something that you're working on now. It's not quite sex, pollen, or fuck or die, but you're definitely, you've got some magic and you're going, oh, what if it just bends a little though? And I do really like that as well, because magic's so, you can do so much with it. I always think it's really interesting to see how authors take the same basic trope and change it around until such as it's it's very different. But I can't say that I'm gonna start bookmarking every sex, pollen, or fuck or die fic.
Well, there's not that many.
There's not that many. There's not that many. It wouldn't take me that long to read them all. I definitely thought there would be more. I definitely surprised me that there isn't more.
Yeah, actually. I think it definitely says a lot that my first introduction to it, like I said, was MJ's stuff, and she's like, I think she only has like a handful, but so I think I just assumed, oh, there must be so much, and then I looked, I'm like, oh, there's really not. At least not in the supernatural fandom. There's a lot proportionately in other fandoms, like total, but not a lot.
Yeah,
untapped.
No, it's
untapped.
It's untapped mine of potential there, people. Yeah.
So I think we're gonna wrap this up. We're probably gonna do this again soon.
Before you do wrap that up,
Yes.
if you would like to be involved in suggesting tropes and ideas and things like that for these episodes and recommending your personal favorite fics, join our Ko-fi. If you join our Ko-fi membership, you get access to behind the scenes places in Discord, and one of those places is where we come and we ask y'all, hey, we're going to do a tags and tropes. What kind of tropes would you like us to look at? Or, hey, we're thinking about doing these episodes. Pick which one you want us to do first. And we'll come to you for recommendations and things like that. So you can help shape the future of the Impala episodes. Link in the description.
Yeah, thank you for listening and giving us Discord members a lot to pick and choose from. It was definitely, I know I went outside my comfort zone for this one, but I'm glad I read it.
Yeah.
I'm glad it didn't end. Casey's very much like, I want to know how it ended, but
I want to know more. But you know what? That's what makes us such great co-hosts, because it's our differences, you know?
It is. And when I'm not a sassy pants, you're more happy. I was very
sassy. It's fine.
I'm sassy.
Took me by surprise.
Took you by surprise.
Sandra is on good form today.
I'm sassy. It's Sassy Pants. Sassy Pants Saturday with Sandra. I think that's what we're going to call these 2 episodes. But yes, thank you for listening, and let us know what you thought of the episode. You can email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. Comment on Spotify in the Q&A section, and you can leave us a YouTube comment, join our Discord, and chat with fellow idlers and us in real time. Check out our merch store, which is another fun way to show your support. You can find details for everything on our website. That's idlingintheimpala.com. Want to fuel our supernatural road trip? Consider joining us on Ko-fi for as little as $1 a month. We have perks to go along with different membership tiers and would love to have you along for the ride.
And that is where you go to do the thing. That's where the thing is. So you can help shape the future of the Impala episodes. Yeah, I didn't totally blank out there and forget it was my turn to talk. Don't forget, you can always support us for free by liking, commenting, and subscribing on YouTube, and following, rating, and sharing on audio platforms. Engagement like that really helps us with the algorithm. All hail their benevolence. As always, we have the causes we support in the description. From me, we have LGBTQ plus talking charities. From Sandra, we have mental health charities. As of time of this going out, probably is before the election, so there's USA election information there. Keep yourself informed and up to date as November closes in. Remember, it's a jump to the left, not a step to the right, guys. Come on, let's get this shit straightened up. As always, the main causes that we are championing, highlighting, spotlighting, any other adjective that means drawing attention to, is World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders. Both of these charities are on the ground working in the Ukraine to help those still affected by Russia's unlawful invasion of the Ukraine, and in Gaza, which is in the crossfire of the war between Israel and Hamas. This is not political. It does not matter which side of these issues you stand on. We are coming from a purely humanitarian view here. There are people in the Ukraine and Gaza that are trapped, cut off from basic human rights like food, water, and shelter, and they're dying. They didn't ask for war, and we want to help the people risking their lives to help them. If you cannot or do not want to donate financially, that is absolutely fine. Just sharing the links around social media helps massively to keep these issues in the public eye and get people in need all the help that we can. So with that, we will say thank you for joining us in the back seat, and we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.